we head back to the balance beam for the first event of the B division here in Season 2. So the 16 teams that didn't qualify for the Team Quadrilla Marble League will be trying their hand here in balancing, and after some complaints, the slime balls have made some adjustments to the beam to make it a bit easier to score, so hopefully we'll be seeing runs that are a bit better than what we saw in the A division event. But getting us started will be the mountain climbers, our second place finishers in the B division in Season 1, and also second place finishers in balancing in the B division in last season. Disappointed to not qualify, hopefully we'll be seeing good things from them again in the B division. Look at them, most of them going to the near side, actually all of them will, but Everest, their back marble, will hold on for 12 points. That's pretty good from them. Remember, it's 1 to 9 in the first 9 rows, then it's 12, 15, and if you make it to the end, that's a full 20. The mountain climbers only have 31 though. Their first 3 marbles could only get 6, 7, and 6, respectively. They've got to be hoping for a bit more than that. Better than a lot of runs we saw in the A division, but we'll have to see what the adjustments made it easier for them, whether it did that or not. The Celestials now, not as good in balancing historically, and many of them falling early, but Centauri, their back marble, also, like Everest, closed it out for a 12 points. It's actually going to be very close between these two teams. We'll have to see which one gets the edge over the other. Celestials also just barely didn't qualify. 31, that's going to be tied in points, but they beat the mountain climbers based on the tiebreaker. Cosmos, the new captain of the Celestials, Supernova was demoted, and looks like Cosmos is going to get a decent run at least in their first event as captain. Now the rock pools, also not great at balancing, but then bunching up with 2 marbles, making it to the narrow section, and one of them just on the edge of 12 and 15. I think that was Creek, the second marble, while Cove also made it all the way to 12. This is going to take the lead, I think, for the rock pools. They've got to be happy with that. 37, I think that's the best the rock pools have ever done, or at least one of the best they've ever done in balancing. They take the lead after 3 runs. Now the pumpkin patch. The last time we saw this, apart from in the off-season, was in the B division in the last event where they got last, which got them relegated. So they weren't actually in qualifiers. We'll have to see how the pumpkin patch can do better. Remember, if you place in the bottom 4 after 8 events of the B division, you don't make it to the next season's qualifiers. You stay in the B division for 1 whole season. The pumpkin patch, and like we saw in last season, they underperformed. The pumpkin patch only get 23, and that's not good enough to get them out of the bottom. Have to be hoping for more in the events to come to try to avoid getting relegated once again. Now, in Team 5 of 16, the Heliospheres, pretty good at balancing, I'll have to say. They got a bronze in the A division event last season, in the first event of the season, but they weren't great in the qualifiers, and also that was not a good performance from the Heliospheres. All of them going to the near side, like I think the mountain climbers did, but the Heliospheres were just too early. None of them made it to the narrow section. None of them even made it to 9. Astral did the best with an 8, but the other 3, no one more than 5 for the other 3, and the Heliospheres inherit last place. Now the Red Lotus. Not great at balancing, but still one of the best teams that didn't qualify. Gotta be hoping that they do well in the B division. Disappointed they're the only Lotus team to not qualify. One of them pulls it out for 15. That's their second marble, Hibiscus. And I think the Red Lotus, is this good enough for the lead? Have to see how they do to challenge the rock pools. The other 3, well, actually one of them did decent. Water Lily got a 9. But also a 37 that ties the rock pools in points, but not good enough based on the tiebreaker to overtake the rock pools. But the Red Lotus inherits second place thus far, expected from a team that did well in the Team Quadrilla Marble League A division last year. Now the Venomous Vipers, also a team that has struggled in balancing. One of them though, that's Anaconda, I think, their third marble, makes it all the way to 15, and the Venomous Vipers, I think, are going to do pretty well here. It shouldn't challenge for the lead, I don't think. It's not good enough to beat the rock pools, but it is good enough for 3rd place. Now, of course, there's 9 other teams, so a podium is not looking too likely for the Venomous Vipers. But the Venomous Vipers, if you remember from last season, they got third in the B Division, got a goal in the first B Division event. So let's see how they can do here. The Deserters now, after a terrible run in the qualifiers, hoping to do well in the B Division. They didn't qualify for this season. Last season they qualified, but also struggled quite a bit. The Deserters only a 25. That is 6 out of 8. It could have been worse for them. Certainly not what they had hoped for coming into the B Division. They're hoping to turn it around from the qualifiers and finish well in this lower league. But at the halfway mark, it is the Rock Pools that have the lead. But will they keep it? The Treat Fleet is up now. If you remember, the Treat Fleet won the B Division balancing in Season 1 with a very good run. It's still one of the best balancing performances we have seen of all time. And one of them makes it to a 15 as we expect from the Treat Fleet. Kind of one of the teams with the most expectations in balancing in the B Division, as their captain Butterscotch making it all the way to 15, but the other 3 marbles underperforming, so it's only good enough for 4th place under the Venomous Vipers right now. Now, Team 10 of 16, the Nickel Knights. The Nickel Knights, very inconsistent in the B Division last year. They got 3 medals, but also was in the bottom half, and all of them falling off pretty early in balancing here. That is not what they had hoped for at all. Nickel Knights also were in the qualification zone for quite a while before they fell out of it in the last event. That is only good enough for 8th out of 10 teams. Nickel Knights hoping to perform well, maybe do well, good enough for a podium overall in the B Division. We'll have to see what they do in the later events. Now it's the Hazelnuts, our last place team in the B Division last year, and of course that got them relegated, hoping for a better performance at least, because it can't get much worse than that. The Hazelnuts, this is not a bad performance though. The Hazelnuts have changed their lineup. Walnut is now on the main team, but in this event, Chestnut, their now reserve, is still participating, and they didn't do too bad. They got a 6, but their captain Hazel gets 15, and that's good enough for 3rd place. Could the Hazelnuts be on for a podium? Their first ever podium. The Amber Animals now. Amber Animals also just fell out of the qualification zone in the final event, hoping to perform well here, and they will. 20 points for their captain, makes it all the way to the end, and one of them, Weaver, makes it to the 12. So Parrot gets 20, Weaver gets 12. The Amber Animals, I think they're going to take the lead here. Very good performance for them. Look at them, triumphant in the end. They think they've got this, the Amber Animals. Have they done it? Yes, they have. Handily, 46 for the Amber Animals. That is the best balancing performance we have seen in this season in the A Division and B Division. They have the lead after 12 runs. They're guaranteed a top 5 finish and almost guaranteed a podium. Now the Bacon Brawlers, team that is not too bad at balancing too. They did decent in this event in the A Division last year. Have to see how they can do this year. They got last in their group in qualifiers, hoping to turn it around in the B Division. All of them going to the far side, like we've seen in quite a few runs actually in this event. I think that was a fairly okay run, middle of the road I have to say, and it's tied for 8th place out of 13 with the Mountain Climbers. So we're going to have a tiebreaker between the 2 captains of those 2 teams after all of the runs. Now it's the Aquamarines, our gold medalists in balancing in the A Division last year. If you remember, they got a perfect run, although it was a bit of an easier course. It was a shortened course in that event. But the Aquamarines, oh, this is an inconsistent run. And what a fall for grace for them after a very good history in balancing. One of them, the 3rd marble, Sapphire, their most experienced marble in events, has gotten a 12, but that saves their run. Otherwise, it would have been probably last, because they're right now in 3rd to last. And the Aquamarines are going to be starting this B Division from the bottom, it seems like. Now, Team Nectar, 15th out of 16 in last year's B Division, hoping for a better outing in this year. And it looks like it's going to be a better outing for sure. The Team Nectar will be able to get a decent run at least. I think it'll be good enough for like top half or middle of the road at least. One of them gets a 12, that's Honey, and a 9 and an 8 as well. They get 31, and that's good enough for 7th. So they are going to get a top half finish. That's good for Team Nectar. Now for the final team, the Icicles. Can they challenge the Amber Animals for the gold? Amber Animals and Rock Pools already guaranteed podiums. Icicles, 13th overall in the B Division last year, relegated, came back, and they're going to get a decent performance. I don't think they're going to challenge for the win. I don't think they're going to challenge for the podium, but the Icicles will do okay. They will get a 15 from their captain, Ice, and that's a 31, 6th place for the Icicles. They've got to be pretty happy with that. The Mountain Climbers and the Bacon Brawlers now for the tiebreaker. Their captains going to go at it. Remember, in the tiebreakers, it's only the captain that goes, and it's just one run. Mountain, I think that was a 4. Fell out about in between 4 and 5. We'll have to see. And yeah, it's only going to be a 4. So Bacon Brawlers, it's not too much of a target to try and beat that. How will Bacon respond for 10th? Remember, this is just playing for 6 points in the championship. Bacon from the Bacon Brawlers, will they do better than Mountain? Oh, that's going to fall off at just barely. Just about the same position, I'd have to say. We might have to go to another round of tiebreakers. Actually, I think they got a 5, just barely. They were on the edge. And they do get a 5. The Bacon Brawlers do get 10th. Mountain Climbers will settle for 11th place. But the Amber Animals easily get the win by 9 points over the Rock Pools and the Red Lotus. Amber Animals on top in balancing and on top in the B Division after the first event. The Rock Pools also get their first medal ever in the B Division and on the silver position. And the Red Lotus get a bronze as expected from that team. But congratulations to our podium finishers, especially the Amber Animals, for getting a very good run. They're on top in the B Division, followed by the Rock Pools and the Red Lotus as the standings stay the same. Hazelnuts in 4th, but in the relegation zone after the first event, Nickel Knights, Aquamarines, Pumpkin Patch, and the Heliospheres.